Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our morning coffee time from sunny White Salmon today. We had a couple days of warmer than normal temperatures, and today feels perfect outside. So, how is everyone? I see the double thumbs up, which means people can see and hear me. So that's good. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, follow the Pacific Birkin, follow the Ajahn Sona's channel on YouTube. So yesterday they put up a little trailer or teaser for the Jhāna series, and I've linked that in the chat today. So you can go check that out to get a visual sense of what's going on with those talks. I had a little preview of them. They look beautiful. So you might just have to listen with your eyes open. So let's see, we got 60 people here this morning. So reflecting a little bit this morning on the theme of content and discontentment, and in particular, this pernicious sense that creeps into our life of discontent or dissatisfaction. For me, it's always kind of coming up in the various aspirations I have to do various projects that I have my eye on and fix things, improve things, develop things, including my practice a little bit more. And in particular, I was just reflecting on how this kind of feature of human nature, which doesn't seem all that wired or able to be perfectly content with what it is that they have. There seems to be this longing for a sense of progress and forward movement, a bias, if you will. And there's various mechanisms in the mind, even like, say, how it is that we adjust to that which is pleasurable and comfortable. And we can only feel content with it for oftentimes fleeting moments, a few seconds, a few minutes, a day, a couple days. And I guess it's part of the story of self, part of the notion and conception of self as always kind of wanting more. And this movement to discontent. In fact, even in conversation sometimes with people, especially people that are not also familiar with Buddha Dhamma and don't have a firsthand practical experience of the kind of contentment that the Buddha is encouraging in our practice, they're a bit worried about what would happen to them if they became too content, and the future of human societies, even if we were perfectly contented. So, in reflecting upon it, it's like this pressure that's there in our life that's always pushing us out of our ability to sort of be still, be solid, be at ease with what is, and the enormous blessings of our life even. It's so difficult. And it manifests in the personal level and in the various rings of relationship we have. We always want to conceive of ourself and our family and our community and our culture as moving forward. And one of the ways I image this experience of dukkha, it's the inability to be at ease, like to be still, to be at ease. So it's like when the path has not yet come to maturity, when we haven't fully developed it, when wisdom is not fully mature, then we lack the ability to be at rest or at ease. And sometimes I even think of that as like that's our true home. It's like, so we're homeless. We're constantly sort of pushed. We don't have a stable, secure place, and we could say in the present moment. And that pressure is really a manifestation of dukkha, not just dukkha as the characteristic of things being unsatisfactory, but that's it, dukkha as pain, as dissonance, as discontent. That certainly plays some sort of role in the movement of dis-ease. Like when we are not at ease, we can't sit still. When there's a profound sense of ease, we quite naturally move towards stillness and contentment and gratitude and this very open, appreciative state of heart that flows from that. And I trust that all of you have had some taste, even some profound taste of that through your efforts in meditation and in your spiritual life. But it's interesting to contemplate how that fades, that dissolves, and then we're back to this sort of sense of being homeless again. Pushed and prodded to do, to be, to become, to develop, to improve. So there's a few places in the suttas where the Buddha actually talks about something that we might call sort of being not being overly contented. I was quickly trying to see if I could find a reference this morning and didn't really find what I was looking for, but I think what I'm thinking of is a sutta in the Anguttara Nikayas where the Buddha's going through kind of elements that show up in the gradual training I think the phrase is, he's admonishing or encouraging the monks to never be, not to backslide in their practice, and also never to be merely contented with the cultivation of virtue. And then he goes through other elements of the gradual training. And it's this kind of admonishment. The one sutta I did find when I was doing a quick search this morning was this monk who is sick, and maybe from the context of the sutta, even possibly dying. He's in all kinds of pain. And the Buddha asks him if he has any regrets or remorse. And he says, I do. And the Buddha says, well, what is it that you regret and remorse? And he still has, and then the conversation goes to, like, is there anything you've done, any failings in the cultivation of virtue that is causing regret, remorse? And the monk says, no, there isn't. But I know that the Lord, or the Buddha, teaches that it's not for the mere cultivation of virtue that one takes up this Dhamma and this discipline. And so his regret and remorse is that he hasn't attained full enlightenment. So he's accomplished in virtue, and he doesn't have any regrets or remorse in that sort of dimension of his life. But there's regret and remorse because he knows that the Buddha doesn't praise living the holy life merely for the accomplishment of virtue. And in the reference that I was trying to find, like, the Buddha sort of steps that up through a lot of the elements of the gradual path, including sort of the cultivation of mind, and even for the sake of jhanas. Jhanas are part of the Eightfold Path and an integral sort of part of this path of practice and development. And it's not even for the sake of that. So, like, the Buddha says, you shouldn't be content with even what's one of the most sublime elements of the spiritual path. It's really for its ultimate aim is to push forward to knowledge and liberation. So, but my conception of, like, how is it that we practice honoring that kind of spirit, and it's not really through discontent. I mean, you can feel your practice with this very strong faith in the possibility of awaking, like your full potential, and not settling for anything less. And there is this kind of concept of Dhamma chanda, wholesome chanda, wholesome desire for the good, desire for that which is skillful. And that kind of desire is praised by the Buddha, and is something that is to be cultivated, is blameless. And I think part of the reason why is, like, there's no need really to constellate some strong sense of self if one is focused on that. This other dynamic that I started out describing, this other form of discontent that's always manifesting in being and becoming and wanting kind of more, that's always connected to and part of this kind of selfing concept. More for me. So there was a question couple of days ago, and somebody emailed me a clarification. Shri, I can't pronounce the name properly, probably. So excuse me if I get this wrong, but Shira from Israel emailed me about acceptance of dukkha. And her clarification was that she sent me was she was kind of meaning sort of like, what is it that we need to sort of do to develop an acceptance of dukkha? And the short answer is the cultivation of the path. And we talked a little bit about the first noble truth and just turning towards dukkha. The natural sort of tendency we have is always turning away from it, ignoring it, dismissing it. And I continue to be astounded at how it is that our consciousness is kind of organized and oriented not to see things as unsatisfactory. So, and developing the acceptance of dukkha is really kind of a nice kind of concept. I mean, we have to have some sort of, I mean, really there has to be some sort of insight, I think, into the perniciousness of it, the pervasiveness of it, and also a grounding in faith that, like, this is something that we can do something about. If we're just pick it up as a view or as a philosophy, it becomes a bit of a prison sentence. Here we are trapped in samsara, which is anicca, dukkha, and anatta. That's not really much of a teaching of liberation if the other noble truths don't accompany it. And there's some faith and intuition and sense that this is something that arises and ceases, and something that we're perpetrating through a lack of development and a lack of understanding. So let me take a second here. There's a few kind of thoughts this morning. Let me take a second here to scroll through the chat. In the periphery, I was catching all kinds of congratulations for Adil, who's defending his thesis today. Oh no, I've defended my thesis today. I'm officially a graduate. All right. Congratulations, Adil. I imagine you're wanting to move onwards, though. But how sweet. See. Good morning, Charles. Ajahn, is there a recorded version of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Guna available? I'm still struggling with the pronunciation of some of the Pali words. Memorizing it and hearing it would be helpful. Yeah, there are several. Let's see. We don't have audio files on our website, but you might check some of the other main monasteries. So, and if you let me know, Buddha Dhamma Sangha Guna, I sometimes don't know the Pali titles or remember the Pali titles in our chanting book. So if you're referring to something in particular in our chanting book, you could just email me the page number. And if I can't quickly point you to one, I'll just record one for you. So. Good morning, Abby. I think I need to encourage you to bring me a beautiful icon. Been encouraging everybody to update their icons here. It looks nicer in the chat, but also when we put it up on the screen, it's good to see people's shining faces or something inspiring. So anyways, Ajahn, how does one avoid nihilism, the nihilism trap in acceptance of dukkha through the cultivation or volition of joy? Well, I think I accidentally addressed that already. One needs to remember that there is the third noble truth. So that there is the possibility to sort of overcome dukkha, for dukkha to cease through practice and through maturation of the elements of the path. One can experience the cessation of dukkha. So, and the cessation of it being problematic. So, and also, if we think just briefly, if we think about the whole of the path, and one is committed in a strong and sincere way to the development of selfless giving and generosity and virtue and good friends and all of the blessings like elucidated in the Mangala Sutta or the high, or even in the elements of the gradual path. There's a lot more there than even in cultivating joy. So, and that predicts about nihilism. Yeah. So there's a lot short of attainment of the cessation of dukkha that still helps us avoid the nihilism trap. So misapprehending sort of what the Buddha is getting at in his pointing out of dukkha, and that's what takes us to nihilism. So one needs to cultivate a clear understanding, what he's pointing to in teaching, and then also the tremendous possibility to cultivate the good, cultivate blessings, and transcend and overcome dukkha. So we have an Ajahn Sona imposter in the chat this morning. Yesterday morning, I sent Dantika an encouragement or an idea to create this little teaser or trailer for the Jhāna thing, and it's from the sounds of the emails, the whole the whole community at Birkin yesterday got busy, and in the period of a number of hours, produced a nice little clip announcing the upcoming series of talks on Jhāna. Very impressive. Morning, Andrew. Nihilism means nothing to me. Are you quoting yourself or quoting somebody else here? Well, where does that come from? And funny that nothing matters to the materialists. If it was only so easy. Views and beliefs don't really release us from attachments. It's just a joke, a play on words, okay? Occasionally I meet somebody who wants to argue about the existence of dukkha. And they proclaim themselves not to suffer. And when I can see that I'm not going to get anywhere easily, I just say, well, may it be so. May it be so. Most people don't really know themselves very clearly. And even as practitioners, there's still a lot of unknowing and a lot of delusion. It takes a lot of work, and it takes great presence of mind to kind of really know yourself, and to know suffering. And there does seem to be this tendency for suffering to be dismissed or unacknowledged until it rears its head in more kind of strong forms, and we can't ignore it. So, all right, well, I'm going to leave it at that today, friends. I don't see any more questions. So, a little encouragement today. Starting off with just this contemplation of contentment and discontentment. Or right, what's the right way to be contented, and what's the right way to be discontented? And where does that pressure come? To be, to do, to become, to improve. Part of it might be good and very much in alignment with the goals of the practice, but some of it maybe not so much. And it takes a kind of clear cultivation of the mind to sort out the difference. So, all right, be well. We'll see you all tomorrow, friends. Bye for now.